Tracey Bender, my partner at Oklahoma Emergency Management and Homeland Security, runs a music ministry with her husband, Leroy. I find that the zeal they share there goes into the youth preparedness camps that Tracey oversees in her role there at Oklahoma Emergency Management and Homeland Security as the community preparedness manager. She works with so many folks and sees so many great results in the youth preparedness world. I'm thrilled to talk to Tracey this week for the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. Buckle up, it'll be a good one.
Welcome to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. I'm your host, Bill Bischoff, FEMA Region 6 Community Preparedness Officer, and we'll be talking about community preparedness issues that affect Region 6 states of Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and the tribal nations therein. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. Tracey Bender from Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. You and I, and you're the community preparedness partner of mine in Oklahoma. And I've got to say, you and I think are of similar stock. We don't meet strangers.
You're right.
So I've got to say that I couldn't tell you now how long we've been working together. It feels like 10 years, but I mean that on the right part of 10 years, that it's that wonderful. But I know it's much shorter than that. How long have you been the community preparedness partner there? And you know, what were you doing there before? Because I know that's not your first role at the agency.
Right. Well, I've been doing this almost 3 years. It's about a little over 2.5. And I actually, prior to that, did just about everything in the agency, from operations to logistics to exercise, you name it. I've kind of ran every role except for probably recovery.
I got you. And how has it felt on this side of the house? Because I have found that my partners that have worked in other parts of emergency management, they don't necessarily know what they're getting into when they get to this part of the game, but that they tend to just love it. And that's where I've been, you know, the last 11 years in this part of the game. What's your feelings?
Well, I couldn't agree more. I was in operations and loved it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely felt like that operations was where you made the difference. So I felt like that was my calling, so to speak. When this was offered to me, it was actually one of those things I struggled with at first. But then whenever I got in there and realized what a benefit it will be to not only locals, but to every constituent, every person, every citizen, and what a value there was to it, I knew then that I could make a difference on the preparedness side. And it has been a great journey. I love it. I can't imagine going back to doing anything but this. I absolutely love getting to go out and prepare everyday citizens.
Well, one of the things that I've been very impressed with in you is your ability to build a movement, and your predecessor Roxy Beal had kind of gotten her feet wet in the movement and was moving towards youth preparedness, and I would say you stepped right in, and it was just fantastic. Your ability to grab folks, get them in the right places, do the right things. So in the world of youth preparedness camps, can you tell me what your experience has been thus far, where you started in the youth preparedness camp business now it's going on, 2.5 years, but it seems again like a lot of water's under the bridge since then. So tell me, I think your first was dealing with Northeastern State University there in Tahlequah. Tell me how you've done it, what you've done, and who your main partners are. And you don't have to hit with all that at once, because I'll be breaking it back up here in a minute.
Well, yes, Northeastern State University in Tahlequah was my first experience. I got to tell you, when I took this job, my ideal of a week with 40, high school students was not my ideal of a great time. I really struggled with that in the very beginning. But after going through that very first camp with these kids and these partners that I have, man, I couldn't hardly wait till the next year, because it was such a great experience to see these kids come in on a Sunday, and by Friday they were completely changed. And I know that sounds cliche, but really the growth in those 6 days was absolutely phenomenal. And I could not tell you how incredible it was to see kids that came in that were quiet, reserved, shy, all these things at the end of the week were leaders in their teams going out and teaching, as we went through our final exercise, search and rescue, they were leading the teams and they found their niche. And it's amazing to watch that. And so that first camp gave me everything I needed, I felt like, to grow the process. Not to mention just the sheer, 10 and a half years that I had spent in emergency management, and had those relationships already built. And I could really recruit those subject matter experts because I had those relationships already. And so this just gave us another avenue to bring those folks in. And what a gift it has been.
Tell me what a camp looks like. How many kids are in a camp? How many folks do you have instructing? And can you kind of hit the higher points of what gets instructed?
Yeah. Well, now we try not to take over 40 high school students just because of capacity, feeding them, lodging them, all of those things. Not to mention, if you've ever herded cats, it's a little similar. So we struggle with the teenage thing sometimes, but no, we always have chaperones. We always have great instructors. The instructor pool is incredible. Most of our guys are emergency managers that believe in this program. And a lot of them have came through bringing their kids or their grandkids to camp. And they were so impressed by the camp that they just wanted to be a part of it. And like this year, we ended up having, I think, 12 to 14 instructors, as well as when it came right down to chaperones, I think we had almost as many adults as we did high school students. So it was absolutely just incredible.
Tell me what's taught by the instructors.
Well, we actually, we get it since we had them totally captivated for a week because they're on campus with us. You have to keep teenagers busy. So we do just that. During the day, obviously, we take them through the CERT curriculum, the Community Emergency Response Team curriculum. So we teach them how to open an airway, stop the bleed, check for shock, all those things. But on top of that, on top of the curriculum, we also go through a lot of team building. We want them to understand that you don't do anything alone. You do this together. This is for you and your family, or, if you do have a team on campus, you're going to work with somebody else. So we teach a lot of team building, depend on each other. We teach them CPR because we have subject matter experts that want to come out and teach that. So they have CPR before they leave. We actually have subject matter experts that come out and teach stop the bleed. So they have 3 certifications typically before they ever leave the camp. But like when we went to Murray State College this year, they have a Blue River there, which is huge. And they do there's a lot of drowning victims, things like that. So we were actually able to take the kids out and teach them ropes rescue as well, which was an incredible gift because they don't normally get that. So the ropes rescue, and we had a dive team come out and we had a drone team come out from Chickasaw Nation, gave them a lot of instruction. So they get a lot of education on top of having a really good time.
That is super. Tell me, you mentioned Murray State, so you've already had success at Northeastern State University. Murray State is your second or third camp? How are you looking in terms of camps overall?
They would have been my third because we had Northeastern State University in Tahlequah. Northeastern State University in Broken Arrow does a day camp. They don't have the ability to do a residential camp, but they wanted a part of that. So they do a day camp, which is amazing. And then Murray State College came on this year as a residential camp. And as soon as we left there, they called us and wanted us back, which was amazing. We were so tickled. So we've already got that scheduled for this year as well. Or this next year, sorry. And the cool thing about these universities is it's great for them as a marketing tool as well, because these kids can come back and go to school there, and they've offered them credit hours to go back to school. Northeastern State University offered 4 credit hours. Murray State College offered 6 credit hours to these kids that want to come back and pursue a career in emergency management.
Oh my goodness. That is fantastic.
It's great for the kids, great for the university.
Well, and what are you seeing success-wise out of these? What happens, I guess, downstream, for lack of a better word? Are you seeing any of the kids going into either emergency management, first responder, or any? Is it too soon for that, or are you seeing anything? Are you hearing anything about someone putting their skills to test after getting out of the camp? Or one more would be, are you hearing anything about schools being interested after these camps? Because that's always, I think, potential is that the camp influences a school to take on CERT or CERT training. So
It's been very exciting because we have gained schools the last 2 years that are doing campus teams, because what a gift it has been, because we have people like Coach Wingo out of Atoka that has had a campus team for some time, and he always brings his team to the camps. They help do a lot of the setup, a lot of the breakdown. They even help teach some of the classes. They do some mentoring. Every kid that has came through our camp in the last, since I've had this program, have wanted to come back and mentor, go through the camp again, or start a campus team. So what a gift that has been, because it has been lots of traction there. As far as the kids who have went on, very amazing things have happened. We have one gentleman that came the last 2 years to camp. Matter of fact, we've recruited his dad into teaching at the camps as well. He's been incredible. He has actually started college. He's going to be at Oklahoma Highway Patrol. That's his goal. We have a gentleman that came last year that he's in his senior year. He fully wants to be a full-time firefighter. We have some folks that have came that they didn't know really what they wanted to be, but as soon as they left the camp, they're like, this gives me an opportunity and a platform, because not only will it allow me some credit hours to go back to school here, but I think I want to either be an EMT, or I may be looking at emergency management as a whole. So if they're kind of iffy, this either gives them the opportunity to say, okay, this is something I want to pursue, or I absolutely do not want to. And we haven't figured that part out yet, because nobody that I have talked to that comes back to the camps, they have figured out this is kind of their niche. They don't know exactly where they fit in it yet, whether it be a first responder or emergency management or even criminal justice, but they've kind of went that direction. So this kind of gives them a feel for that.
well, and even going back to where we were going a minute ago, when you start at the beginning of these camps, you've got these kids that don't know one another. I mean, some of them don't, and they're on the wall and kind of just shy and
Yeah.
not wanting to. And I think some of that's been going on for a long time. The pandemic was not necessarily kind to our teens.
Right.
There's a lot of social isolation, anxiety. So what are you seeing there? Are you, because I remember even pre-pandemic being around a couple of times when camps would end, and I'd be there when the parents were coming to pick up the kids, and they would be coming to me or the other adults there and saying, "Oh, this is a different child than who I dropped off. This child is embracing me and his peers, and not just the phone or the tablet, the world in which they lived right before." What's your experience with it?
Just that. It's been amazing, because you get every walk of life. Because when we send out an application for this, we send it out to all the schools. They do realize that this is a free camp to them, because my agency picks up the tab on that. So you have to kind of vet that process a little bit about what their goals are. So even in the application process, I asked them, what would be your goal in going to this camp? Because I mean, it's an educational camp and it's hands-on skills. So I want them to be prepared for that, because we're not going to just come in and sit on the wall. That's not going to be an opportunity. Up front, we get it. Everybody's kind of a little shy and reserved. By the end of the week, that is the furthest thing. We were even talking about it this year. We had one of our emergency managers. She brought her daughter, and her daughter is handicapped. She's in a wheelchair. Phenomenal young lady. Absolutely phenomenal. She wanted to do everything that she possibly could physically. But on top of that, she wanted to pursue this kind of career because her mom and dad were always in this field. Well, let me tell you, she'd be an amazing 911 operator, because she knows exactly what to do, and she can walk you through it over the phone very, very quickly. But by the end of the week, and we noticed this last year and this year, even the ones who are athletic and your prom queens and softball, all these things. And then you have the ones that are more reserved or quiet or, I don't know what, just different walks of life. By the end of the week, they're all one. They don't leave each other out. They take care of each other. It's incredible to me. And I didn't notice it as much until one of our folks that works in our agency came down. She's the area coordinator. She came down just one day and she said, I had no idea how inclusive these kids would be. She goes, it was incredible to see every walk of life taking care of each other. And I said, that means if we didn't do anything but bring kids together, I feel like we've done our job. So, but the testimonies that I get from parents via email, via conversation, or they'll call me or they'll text me and say, oh my goodness, he just showed us how to put together a go bag. He showed us how to take care of our my friend. And one of them, he was at school one day and one of the kids was choking and he helped save him. And the gentleman I was talking about that he's going to be in highway patrol, he had a teacher that went into a seizure and he went and got his bag and he helped her cut. It's amazing because kids don't think, they just automatically do what they've been taught. And so getting those testimonies from teachers and parents and school administration, that has really gifted our program, because once they see that happen with one of the children, or, I hate to call them children, one of the youth, they call me and say, you know what, I think we want to use this as curriculum in our school. So not only are they sending their kids to the camp, then they're actually talking to me about how can we make this work as curriculum in our school. And I think that's just a gift. That just goes to show you these kids are going back and using it.
Oh yeah, love it. Speaking of the gift, you and your agency are putting the seed money down to do this. How difficult is that, and how sustainable, and are you able to take on more schools, or is it that you hope that the ones that you're doing lending that financial I don't want to say lending, pumping that financial benefit into, are they then going to continue while you move on to other schools, or how's that work? Do you know how that works yet?
Not completely. What I will say is the day camps have kind of been self-sustaining, which has been good. I've now, don't get me wrong, I still supply backpacks and equipment and all that through OSU, because we have our trailer that has all of our equipment. We want to make sure that they do everything hands-on correctly. So sustainable, it has been. I feel like it will be. You never know. We all work for the government. We don't know how that funding process works sometimes. But as of right now, going forward, as far as I can tell, I'm going to be able to fund those programs. I have through 2025. I do know that I told them I want to be able to fund up at least 4 camps a year. Right now we have 3. I figure we're going to have a 4th one in 2024. Matter of fact, I know we will. It'll be Panhandle State out in Guyman, the Guyman area out in the Panhandle. I wasn't expecting that one. It showed up on our radar after Murray State College. So it's exciting.
That's success breeding success. That is success breeding success. Yeah.
And I love that, because that means we didn't have to do any other. I mean, it's just word of mouth. Everything that we've been doing is word of mouth. And that's just a really special gift for me. But it also is very they're labor intensive is the word I was looking for, because we're still a very small agency. My program is very, very young and still very small. And so there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to a youth camp. And fortunately, these local emergency managers that have jumped in and helped not only be subject matter experts, but be instructors, be chaperones. I mean, they've just stepped in wherever they could to help with this program. I really feel like that we're going to be able to sustain it. Even at Murray State College, while we were there, one of the gentlemen came and got me out of, I was in a class, and he said, can I talk to you about this? And at first I thought it was going to be negative because, there were so many kids in his building and all of that. And whenever I told him what we were doing, he goes, no, I just want to tell you, I want to be a part of it. I want to be able to come help teach. What can I do to make this better? Is there anything that we can do financially? So with that, a lot of the locals throw in and they put some money in to buy t-shirts, buy snacks, things like that, because as you know, there's parameters on grant funding. So I have to be careful how I spend my grant funding. But with that, the local jurisdictions and the schools alone are pitching in so much to maintain that I feel like they're going to keep it going regardless if I can do it.
Share with me. You keep referring to these partners that are the instructors, um, and I've met a number of them over the last couple of years, and just impressed at how much they're invested in. And I think that comes from, part of that comes from you being invested and you knowing how to leverage your relationships with willing partners. Tell me about, and leave David Grizzle to the end because I'm getting to
Yeah.
him. But talk to me about a number of the other ones. I think just I know you're not going to be able to name everybody, but just a few of the ones off the top of your head.
Well, I got to tell you, we've brought in some great partners. Oklahoma State Health Department has been a huge partner for us. And Jessica Dean, she's kind of our cheerleader, and she's been helping with a lot of the team building opportunities. We've had a lot of volunteers come in. Billy Sizemore, what a gift he's been to our program, because he brought both of his sons last year, and they're all invested now. They all come back every year. And now Billy is not with the state health department any longer. He actually works for our agency. So now he's really invested with us. But we have local partners. I am so thrilled to tell you that Dave Johnson, Garvin County, Brian McDaniel, Murray County, Paul Tucker, Carter County, Jason Bryant, right there in the county, Johnson County. These guys are invested, and they are so invested that they come out with all guns blazing. They bring their equipment, they bring their, they come and instruct classes. They've went and got their cert certification so they can, or train the trainers so they can teach. They have done it all because they are so, the program is an asset to them. And so not only locally for their, adults, but the camps, they are so invested that they go out and sell it for me. I don't even have to make that effort. Now, as you mentioned, David Grizzle out of Norman, he is not only a wealth of knowledge, but a huge advocate for the CERT program in youth. And I am so grateful that he is continuing to be a force to be reckoned with there. He goes to every camp. He's involved in every camp. He brings equipment to every camp. He is invested in these youth. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it seems like he's that guy that I liken him to a guy that I remember in a junior golf program. I grew up in Little Rock. This guy was an organizational genius. He was not the guy that you necessarily thought would be doing great things with youth, but he was an organizational genius, and the kids reacted as such, and you could tell where his heart was. That to me kind of nails down David Grizzle, because he is a guy that's thinking all the time on ways to do things better.
Yes.
And then how to, just how to empower others and do great things. So it's been a thrill to watch him the last several years take off and run. And I really like the way you and your predecessor both have done it, which is to go, hey, we're in this together. But I know this is kind of your, you've got all these years of CERT behind you, so show us the way. And he is just one of the greatest advocates, as you said, and just a pleasure to watch him in motion. And I always feel like like I'm watching, a master out there, because it is something where I go, I'm going to stay in my seat over here because there is nothing I can add to this.
Right. Well, and Deb Wagner, there's so many, I'm going to forget somebody without a doubt, but, I pride myself, and it's not me because these guys just jumped in, but I'm one of those people, if you're going to hand me something and say, go build it, I am truly one of those people. We're going to do it all the way, and we're going to do it with the best people we know how. Right. And I tell you, this team, unbelievable. John Curtis, oh my goodness, another one from the state health department. That's the man with the long beard. I was just remembering and thinking, I gotta ask you about him, because he's there every time. Oh, and phenomenal.
He's throwing in every place he can.
He has a heart for youth. I can't tell you enough about this team. I feel so blessed that they just jump in anytime I call, and we do this together. We are truly a team. And we not only protect these kids, pray over these kids, take care of these kids, but we want the parents and them to know that their kids are not only safe with us, but we're going to prepare them for next steps in life at whatever they decide to do. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm going to end up forgetting somebody, but there's just so many of these guys that come together and make this team a success. And all I have to do is just sit back and say, wow. And I love it.
I'm gonna hit with things off the top of my head too. And I'm thinking of Andy Smith that was there
Oh,
at
yeah.
Northeastern State. I'm thinking of Jackie Wright.
Jackie
that
Wright.
used to be
Yes.
Rose,
Yeah, I told
Rose
you I'm going to
College.
forget somebody.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So there's all these because it's tough to remember everybody when you've got such a great and immense team, and
Amazing.
it is all about that. So
I am so humbled by just the sheer fact that they just jump and come and I know these people just have such a heart for these kids, and I just appreciate every one of them.
If anybody's interested in starting a camp, what do they need to do? At least in Oklahoma.
Well, what I would do is I would probably say get in touch with, here, everything kind of travels word of mouth, but getting in touch with those decision makers in these universities and just being able to go out and say, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. And we're willing to pay you for the food and the lodging. Can you accommodate us? Are you interested? I have yet to find one that's not. All of them want to be a part of it because preparing their youth is what universities want to do. But then on top of that, get a hold of those local emergency managers, get a hold of those local first responders, get a hold of the ones that are the big players in those areas, because they can help you with that. And they want to. I have yet to find somebody who says, I'm not interested in youth. They truly want the next generation to be successful. And so for me, it is really just getting the word out to local emergency managers, to local first responders. I get in touch with the local high schools, the superintendents, and say, this is what we do in the summertime. I would love for your kids to be a part of it. And we start building those bridges. And it has been an incredible matter of fact. I had no intentions of going to Panhandle State this next year. It was kind of one of those things that I was out there for a different meeting, and the emergency manager says, hey, while you're here, I'm going to make us a meeting with the university. I want to go out there and I want them to know about your youth camp, because man, just seeing the pictures and seeing hearing everybody talk about it, I think we need it out here. And I thought, well, okay. So I went out there, talked to 3 different people, and I said, well, we can look at 2025, if you want. Oh, no, we want to do it this year. 2024 will be great. Let's do it this next year. So they want to invest in youth. And it's been a great opportunity for me to be able to pull those relationships together, pull those local emergency managers. And not only that, but it brings those emergency managers and those first responders together as partners as well. Even though they should be partners already, they create something that's even more of an investment to them, which is the next generation.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, Tracey, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for what you're doing across the state of Oklahoma with your partners there and the teams that you're building, and what's, the benefits that we know are coming in the future. So thank you very much. And I look forward to talking to you down the line and seeing how things go.
Well, it's been completely my pleasure. Very excited about the program. And I thank you for all your support, because we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you.
That about does it for this episode of the #R6 Prepares podcast. Please give us a like on our YouTube channel and subscribe there if you will. And likewise, please follow us at #R6Prepares on Twitter. Take care of you and yours, and we'll talk to you next time.